Have a seat. There you go. I am so glad to have the Scouts here today. It's wonderful to have you guys here, and you get an extra jewel in your crown for sitting through 2 services for you guys that did that. Just saying, okay? My brothers were Scouts. My boys were Scouts. One of the things that they learned was the Scout Oath. And any of you guys know the Scout Oath? You know it pretty well? So if I asked you to just get up and say it in front of everybody, you'd feel pretty good about that, right? There's such fear here in these, I'm just telling you, yeah. They're like, I think so. Okay, tell you what, would you like to lead them and they can kind of follow along with you? And would you do that? All right, all right. I would invite the Scouts and anyone who'd like to stand with them to say the Scout Oath. Turn to them. Here we go. All right. All right, good job. Give them a hand clap of praise. All right. You know, that's not an easy thing to have to get called on, immediately and say, we're going to do this. They did not, nobody came prepared to do that this morning, did you? No, no. I like to do that to people here at the church from time to time because that's what life does. Life kind of hits us and we're not prepared for it. And then all of a sudden, how does it make you feel to know that, yeah, that stuff's inside me, I know that. And when called on to do that, I remember that. That actually feels kind of good, doesn't it? Did it feel pretty good to have folks around you doing that too? I think sometimes we help each other with that. I really think that the Scout Law, the Scout Oath, that's a pretty cool thing. But I think it sounds pretty tiring actually. I mean, trustworthy, loyal, brave, clean, reverent, that's a lot of work, don't you think? Why would you do that? What would make you do to get the badges? Is that why you do it? Yeah? Is there anything more than badges that would make you do that? What would prompt you to do that? Makes you a better person? You could save a life? Sounds to me like maybe it's not so much what you're going to have as a symbol of what you've learned on the outside as to be able to have that stuff on the inside, what it's going to change you. Sounds like maybe that's a little bit more, okay, so that would be the why. How would you do that, though? I mean, it's one thing to say, yeah, man, like I'm thrifty, brave, loyal, clean, reverend. Yeah, that's me. How do you do that? It's another thing to actually be those things. It's one thing to say it. It's another thing to be it. What is it that helps you to do that? Are there any things that help you to do that? Family? Leaders? The pack? Say what? Practice. What is it that puts that inside you? What is that strength that's going to keep you going for the long haul? I'll tell you about 2 boys. They're good boys. They're born with power and with hope. These boys had a lot to offer. They had the ability to accomplish a lot of things. One of them was actually destined to change the world, but neither of them knew about it at the time. Now, Billy Ray, he was a natural leader. He was. In fact, he was like from this dynasty of leaders. His dad had been a leader, Billy Ray was the kind of kid that he knew what he wanted and he could make it happen. Folks like that? Right, he could do all that. And he was they just idolized him. He was the kind of guy, you can't touch this, He was the MC Hammer of the Scout world. Okay. And he really had it all, it just seemed like. He just had all the externals, everything that was going to help him out. And yet, Billy Ray just never went the distance. And I'm not sure what was about that because it was like when it came to really meeting the obstacles. He could meet a couple, but then he just kind of petered out. It was like he just ran out of gas. And he never really was able to accomplish a lot. It was too bad, because I think Billy Ray really could have been great. Anyway, his friend Jake, the two of them were buddies. Now, Jake, oh, God bless him. Jake was he was a sweet kid. He wasn't the brightest and the best, but you know what? He was the apple of his father's eye. He was the chosen one, I'll tell you. He was a good kid, and his father believed that he could do great things, even if nobody else believed it, even if Jake didn't believe it. His father believed in him. He was able to do a lot of things. He had a lot of things. He had a lot of things going for him. He had a good support system. He had a good family. He had good leaders. He had Scout Handbook. He had a life handbook. We keep it here in the church. It's called a Bible. Okay, good. All right. Open it up. It's good to do more than just dust it. Yeah, he had that. All right. And so he also trusted God because they had helped him to learn to do that. He had a lot of things going for him. Well, things were going so well for him that he started to get a little lax. Wasn't trying quite as hard. Does that ever happen to any of you? Not any of these fine boys, of course not. And that ever happened to the rest of you? Yeah. You know what? Instead of giving 100%, started pulling off a little bit more. He started asking questions like, do I have to? Okay. What's the MDR here? What is my minimum daily requirement in order to get by? All right. He started just not paying attention, letting some little things in there that kind of turned into big things. You know, he wasn't doing really big, bad things, just little stuff, right? Just sort of let that kind of slide, those little things that build up after a while. Well, kind of wondered about him. We were at a camp out one time. Billy Ray and Jake were kind of goofing around. And Billy Ray had found this thing. He'd gotten it on the internet, so you know it was wonderful, right? And so he said, I bought this concoction, this elixir of power. And it promises me that if I drink that, I'm going to be the most powerful person in the world. I'm going to rule the school and everything beyond. And Jake looked at him, he said, I don't think that's going to do anything for you, and I'd be really wondering about trying to drink something like that, you know. And then he got serious, and he said, I'm not sure if I actually believe in power at all. You know, sometimes I feel kind of powerless, but really, I think it's all about me. I think that if there's anything that's going to happen, I'm going to be the one to make it happen. I think I'm number one. I got to look out for number one. I think it's going to be up to me. I'm not sure if I believe in a lot of other big power stuff. I don't think, if God's supposed to be so powerful, then how come there's all this trouble going on in the world? How come things are going on here that I don't like? I don't understand. How could God be in charge of anything here? And if God does have some really big, distant plan out there, some big whatever, what about me right here? What's it mean to me right here in the middle of the stuff I got to get through? There's nobody helping me but me. And so I'm going to just trust in me. Well, obviously, I couldn't let that go. And I said, well, guys, I always kind of thought there had to be something bigger than me, something beyond me. Because if I'm the epitome, the top of the food chain and everything like that, this world's in a lot of hurt. I think there's got to be something with infinitely more intelligence than me. Something with greater something. You know, I really have a hard time believing that this world, with the way it's intricately involved and with all the order, I have a really hard time believing it was just a huge accident. I just can't get past that. I mean, you know, the way that things start, well, it started with a big bang. Really? Cool. That's very good. I think it probably did too. But in order for things to bang together, you have to have something to do the banging, right? Well, if matter's neither created or not created. What created the matter? Finite does not create finite, right? Finite moves around finite. Only infinite can create finite. And if you're going to have something bump into each other, a body at rest tends to remain at rest, a body at motion tends to remain at motion. What got them in motion? So something had to start the stuff and something had to put them together. What was that? Just saying. Okay? I think there had to be something beyond. I think there had to be an eternal. I think there had to be an infinitive. Something that's beyond me. And I think if there was an infinity power of some kind, then I think there had to be some kind of an order to it. And if there is some kind of an order to it, like I observe around me, the way things work together is kind of amazing, then I've got to be part of that. Whoa, that's kind of amazing, that I'm a part of a bigger thing. And if I'm a part of that bigger thing, then you're a part of that bigger thing, and you're a part of that bigger thing, and you're a part of that bigger thing. And we are all connected within that order, because you can't, by definition, just have order for some things and not for anything, or everything's not in order, right? Just nod your head. Yeah, okay, yeah. Right? And if that's true, then that infinite creator would have the big picture, because infinity is not bound by time or space by definition, right? And if you have the big picture and you create it, you got to care about what you created, which means I matter, and you matter, and you matter, and our condition matters, our community matters, what's going on matters, both on the big picture and then right here and right now. That needs to matter. Maybe there is an ultimate purpose to thing, and if there is, then I'm a part of that. And so I got to wonder, what was I created to be? What part am I of that? Do I know it? Have I found it yet? What part am I of this thing that matters, this ultimate purpose? That's pretty cool. And if I'm going to put my trust in something, I'm going to put my trust in something that was ultimate, that really matters, right? It seems to make more sense to me instead of myself. And in fact, if I'm really going to try to be my best self and find out how I find this strength inside, you know where I'm going to look? I'm going to look at whoever made the most difference in this world. I'm going to look at the one or ones who I think in the history of the world made the biggest positive difference, made the biggest changes, and helped the most people. I want to look at what drove them and gave them strength. I want that. Because if it's somebody else drinking a little an elixir of power thing, that doesn't tell me anything. I want to know who it was that changed history. I want to know, and I want to study about those folks that really were able to change lives. Maybe it was one. For me, the one that changed the most that I can see is Jesus Christ. So I want to know what drove him, what strengthened him, because I want that inside me. I want that kind of power inside me. Well, like I said, it was kind of late, and so we went back and we hit the rack, and that was the end of the conversation. Kind of a deep conversation that day. You know, it wasn't too long after that when I told him about how I wanted to learn more about God and follow God and everything. And you kind of wonder if your words made any difference. I guess not, because, well, Jake got worse. He got in big trouble, and he got sent away. I often wondered about Jake, and I started wondering, what's giving him strength? What's he got to be feeling like? He's got to feel like he's in exile someplace. He does all the things that were his support, everything that he had's been taken away from him. Well, it wasn't long, and I got a letter from him, and he says, he was definitely feeling down, because he said, if there is a God, he doesn't care what happens to me. God's given up on me, so I guess I have too. I'm just weary. I'm tired of it all. Do you think there's any hope for me? Wow. I didn't know what to make of that. So I didn't know what to do but pray. So I did. Well, it wasn't too long after I get a call. Jake? Only it wasn't the Jake that I'd heard in that letter, the one that was ready to give it all up. And it wasn't the Jake I'd heard at the camp out either that was number one, right? This was a Jake with joy in his voice. There was strength in his voice. There was a lightness. There was a hopefulness. He sounded free. Jake? What's up? He says, something happened to me. And I had to call you. I had to tell you about it. This morning, I got up. Now, have you ever had any of those nights that you were awake all night and you wake up and you hear those birds first thing in the morning and you want to just throttle them, right? Singing out there, don't sing, right? Well, that's how I felt. I was feeling about as low as I've ever felt. And I went to the window and I looked out, and about 6 feet outside my window, there's this nest in a tree, right? And there's this bird. I guess he was learning how to fly because he wasn't doing a very good job of it, this little bird. And he would go and he'd kind of teeter there, and this bigger bird, I guess it was the mother bird, would be kind of nudging him, towards the edge there, and he'd kind of teeter there, and he'd stumble, and about that time, she'd catch him, put him back in. And this happened a bunch of times. And I was looking at that, and all of a sudden, I got it. That was me. That was me getting nudged and come to the end, and I'd stumble over my own feet. And then I got picked up. And I thought, that's God. That's God picking me up. And then when that little bird finally figured out what the wings were meant for, and he trusted enough to get out, he was able to fly. He figured out what he was meant to do, and then he trusted that there would be something beneath him holding him. And I thought, that's God. I get it. God is the mother bird. God is that nudges and loves and cares to make a difference, to say, get out. I know you can use those wings. You can do this. And you need to do that. That's what you were meant to do. You were meant to fly. And God is the wind that's underneath my wings and holding me up so that when I do use what I was created to use and be, that God is there. And God is that strength inside me and that courage to get out of the nest. I get it. I get it. I think I can be what I was meant to be. Back when we talked about wanting to be Eagle Scouts, I used to always admire the Eagles. They looked so amazing from the outside. There's these people of power is what I thought, that an Eagle Scout would be, because that's what an eagle was. And it finally dawned on me that what it is that gives the eagle its power is what drives the eagle and what lifts the eagle. That's where the real power is. What drives him, what lifts him, and then what gives him the courage to trust that and himself, and then he's ready to launch. I want you to know I'm ready to launch today. I may not be an Eagle Scout. I may be too old for that now, but I can be an eagle in life. And I'm ready to launch out now. And so what I did was I went and I got my Bible. And I opened it up right about the middle, it just kind of flopped open because I really didn't know what to look for. And there it was. And you know what I discovered? I read this really cool thing. Here's what it said.
Do you not know? Have you not heard? Has it not been told you from the beginning? Have you not understood since the earth was founded? He sits enthroned above the circle of the earth, and its people are like grasshoppers. He stretches out the heavens like a canopy and spreads them out like a tent to live in. He brings princes to naught and reduces the rulers of the world to nothing. No sooner are they planted, no sooner are they sown, no sooner do they take root in the ground, than he blows on them and they wither, and a whirlwind sweeps them away like chaff. To whom will you compare me? Or who is my equal, says the Holy One? Lift up your eyes and look to the heavens. Who created all these? He who brings out the starry host, one by one, and calls forth each of them by name. Excuse me. Because of his great power and mighty strength, not one of them is missing. Why do you complain, Jacob? Why do you say, Israel? My way is hidden from the Lord. My cause is disregarded by my God. Do you not know? Have you not heard? The Lord is the everlasting God, the creator of the ends of the earth. He will not grow tired or weary. In his understanding, no one can fathom. He gives strength to the weary and increases the power of the weak. Even youths grow tired and weary, and young men stumble and fall. But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint. Sorry.
You're good. Here you go. Maybe this will help you run and not be weary and walk and not faint.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. Jake said, I think that God's power, that creating power, can transform anything. I think it can transform even me. I think I'm ready to go the distance. I think God's going to go the distance with me. I think I can make it. And I said, Jake, I think you are going to make it. I think you're going to change the world. And more than an eagle, you're a man of God. Amen. You know, I think it is worth striving for. I thank God for all of those who strive for the greater things, to look for that strength that's within them, and then step out on that faith. I'm thankful for scout leaders. I'm thank you for the girls and the boys that become Girl and Boy Scouts and say, I'm going to try to be my best self. And so today we want to honor that especially. And so if you are now or have ever been a scout, would you stand so that we can show you some love and appreciation? All right. And I invite you to have a seat unless you are an Eagle Scout. I would like you to remain standing. Okay. Okay. Congratulations. And if you are or have ever been a scout leader, Boy Scout or Girl Scout, den mother, whatever, would you please stand? We thank you. And now one last group. Maybe you will or have been an Eagle in Scouts. Maybe not. But maybe you're like Jake and you would like to be an eagle in life. If you want to trust in that wind beneath your wings and you know that that is God, and if you are willing to try to step out and launch and be an eagle in life, then I would invite you to stand. And God, I pray for everyone that is standing that you are the wind beneath their wings, that you give them the strength, that you fill them with your spirit. Let them launch every day. I know there's going to be great things. Thank you for bringing us together and part of you. In Christ we pray. Amen.